49 companies have been ordered to pay back profits derived from the Gauteng Education's multi-million school deep cleaning contract. The special tribunal has found that the process to appoint the companies to deep clean schools in the province was unlawful and unconstitutional. A special investigating unit probe found that procurement process in the R431 million rand contract was not cost effective. Some businesses who awarded the contracts were only in operation for a few months and did not have any previous track records. It was also found that some of the contractors who were not on the Department of Education supplier database were appointed via WhatsApp. The companies have 15 days to pay back all undue profits derived from the contract. Now, for more on this story, I'm joined by SIU spokesperson Kaizer Kganyago. Tata Kganyago, good morning. Great to speak to you. Now, just walk us through the process of how you've established the position that we've arrived at this morning.
Thank you very much, and thank you to your viewers. You remember this matter came up at the time when we were doing the investigation, when the matter came out in the public domain that the department paid 431 million for deep cleaning schools when the children were not even at school at a particular time. When we did the investigation at the time, we found that the investigations were done, gave to us an information that says the processes were not followed, people were given contracts on WhatsApp. Some of the things that were there, for example, was that they did not charge the department on the basis of the work done, but just a standard figure to say 250 for primary, 1,000 rand for primary school, 270,000 for secondary school, 300,000 for district offices. And those were the things that we then had to bring before the special tribunal and indicate all of the things that went wrong and ask for the special tribunal to set aside the contract and make sure that this money that has been paid is recovered. Therefore, the special tribunal decided that we should give them the money that they have spent and take away the profits that they have been given because they cannot benefit from an unlawful contract.
Now, there are approximately 57, or is that correct? Are those the number of companies that have been targeted?
It's about 54 companies that are involved.
Now, we look at 54, and there's obviously this blanket judgment, if you will. Are we suggesting that there was collusion by all 54 companies and that none of them were actually legit organizations that were in the business of deep cleaning?
You will remember that when the matter goes to the special tribunal, all of those people were given an opportunity because they were cited as respondents, and they were given a responsibility and an opportunity to defend themselves. And in the case where they were not almost all of them were not able to defend how the appointments were done and all the processes that were followed. And that is why we are saying we will allow you to keep the money that you spend on buying certain things on condition you are able to prove that this is how much you've spent. But any profit that would have made out of this transaction will have to be brought back to the SIU so that it can be taken back to the Department of Education in Gauteng. Because the contract has now been set aside, they cannot now benefit from a contract that is very unlawful, and that is the principle of law.
Now, obviously, this happened in 2020. So I'd like to imagine that many of those companies have obviously reaped undue rewards but spent the money. So you've given them a 15-day timeline. What happens if they can't pay back that amount within the 15 days plus interest?
Obviously, there are other processes that kicks in. We will be able to then go and get some of their properties and sell them to recover the money that needs to be paid back. But at the end of it all, the money will be paid back to the SIU, and we will then take it back to the Department of Education.
Now, 431 million rand is the value of the contracts that were issued. How much are you expecting to recover?
At the moment, as you can see in the judgment, you will see that the judge has requested that they bring their books, their transactions to us, to us, so that we are able to check all of those things. Because it's a process that still has to happen, where we've got to check how much they spend for the material that they use and subtract it from what they were paid, so that we are able to know what each one of them is supposed to pay, because it cannot be a blanket amount that is there.
Now, I'm looking at your statement that you released earlier on, Kaizer Kganyago, and you said the investigation revealed that the procurement process was not cost-effective, as service providers were not paid per square metre of the area cleaned. Rather, a senior official in the Gauteng education appears to arbitrarily decided to offer a fee of 250,000 rand to 270,000 rand for the decontamination of primary schools and so on. Do we know who this senior official is, and will he or will she be persecuted?
We do know who the senior person is, and we have referred that person to the Department of Education in Gauteng, and I think they have been public to say, I think the MEC went public to say they've started the processes of disciplining them, and they will deal with that in that manner, and that matter will be resolved by the department in that particular manner.
Kaizer Kganyago, allow me here to ask, but surely if these individuals that have been accused of being corrupt, these companies, have to pay back millions of rand from this 431 million, this individual or these individuals who colluded to come up with this plan could potentially get a slapping on the wrist. Is this apples and apples that we're comparing? Surely there should be some recommendation for prosecution.
Yes, we have already indicated, if you go and read in our report that we have given to the President, we have made reference to the President, to the NPA, and therefore I do not want to then take these matters that have gone to the NPA into our hands. The one that we are referring to today is something that we have got end-to-end control over, but I can assure you we have sent a reference to the NPA for some of the officials.
Kaizer Kganyago, before we let you go, these deep cleaning processes, I'd imagine, do not only occur in Gauteng. Are there other provinces in the country where you are following similar processes?
Obviously, we investigate on the basis of allegations that are brought before us. And these allegations were brought before us both by a whistleblower and the MEC himself. Therefore, that is why we were able to follow this one up. All our investigations are allegation-based, and if there are no allegations that are brought in other provinces, we cannot just go and sniff around and say it might have been done wrongly. It's only when allegations are brought to our attention that some things that did not go well that we then go and investigate.
Kaizer Kganyago is the SIU spokesperson and just giving us a brief on the Gauteng Education Services order to pay back profits derived from that irregular awarding of contracts amounting to 431 million rand.